The biggest night in Hollywood is the Academy Awards this Sunday, where the Oscars are handed out, and for many years, celebrities have spewed political nonsense, often about saving the environment or a virtue signal about some issue in a third world country. But in the Trump era, the political pandering went supernova. At the 2017 Oscars, just 1 month after President Trump's inauguration, host Jimmy Kimmel called him a racist and said that the entire world now hates America because of the new president.
And I want to say, maybe this is not a popular thing to say, but I want to say thank you to President Trump. I mean, remember last year when it seemed like the Oscars were racist?
He was referring to the Oscars so white controversy, which I'll get into in a moment, but that was just the warm-up for the cultural Marxism that was to come. The following year, a film called Call Me By Your Name was nominated for Best Picture, which is based on the true story of a 24-year-old man seducing a 17-year-old boy. Hollywood calls that a great love story. As the Oscars kicked off that year, Jimmy Kimmel, who was the host again, gave a shout-out to the actor who played the boy, Timothy Chalamet, or however you pronounce his name, saying that he was the star of a small but powerful story. Normal people would call it a Jeffrey Epstein specialty, but we're talking about Hollywood here, so they consider it to be normal. Then came more white guilt as black films, black actors, and black writers were touted as being the best. At one point, Jimmy Kimmel mentioned the new Black Power film, Black Panther, wouldn't be included in that year's awards because it just came out, and then expressed his disappointment that there weren't more black superheroes and complained that Superman is always played by white actors because, well, the character's white.
It's weird that so many superheroes are white just because that's what they were in the comics, right? People say, well, Superman is white. He's always been white. Yeah, you know what else Superman has always been? Not real.
No, Jimmy, it's not weird. What is weird is Hollywood's obsession with turning virtually every popular white character in film franchises into an African American, but that's a topic for a whole other video. Then two black women, Tiffany Haddish and Maya Rudolph, came out to present, but not before complaining that there were too many white people involved in producing the Oscars.
We just want to say, don't worry. There are so many more white people to come to.
So many. We just came from backstage, and there are tons of them back there. And not just movie stars. There are white people walking around with headsets, white people with clipboards. Now, I'm personally not a fan of white people with clipboards because I'm always wondering, what are they writing down about me?
The message was clear. There were still too many white people around, despite the recent strides in diversity. Best documentary that year went to Icarus, a movie about the Russian doping scandal in the Olympics to fan the flames of the hysteria at the time about Russia supposedly helping Donald Trump win the 2016 election. Then there was more pro-immigrant propaganda. Some actress named Lupita Nyong'o from Kenya and some other guy from Pakistan presented an award, but not before saying they're not just actors, they're also immigrants. Rapper Common and some singer named Andra Day performed their social justice anthem Stand Up for Something, which started like this.
We put up monuments for the feminists. Tell the NRA they in God's way. Sentiments of love for the people from Africa, Haiti to Puerto Rico.
That's what people consider rap, I guess. No joke, I can rap better than that. Then an 8-year-old Syrian refugee named Bana al-Baded, who supposedly began tweeting photos of the civil war-torn Syria in 2016, was brought on stage during their performance. Of course, 8-year-olds don't tweet, but the girl was used as a propaganda tool to promote U.S. intervention in the country by making her a symbol of the Civil War there, but that's a whole other story. Planned Parenthood CEO Cecile Richards was also on stage, along with a total of 10 social justice activists invited up there during the performance because they all stand up for something. Mexican filmmaker Guillermo del Toro won the Academy Award for Best Picture that year for The Shape of Water, a movie about a woman who falls in love with a fish man and literally gets naked and has sex with it. Probably Hollywood's way of taking baby steps on the path to giving an Oscar to a film about bestiality. I mean, the Young Turks' Cenk Uygur wants to legalize it. Seriously, I'm not going to show the clip of him saying it because you'll probably puke, but you know my track record for accuracy. He wants it legalized. Guillermo del Toro also won for Best Director, and when he took the stage, he began talking about how he's an immigrant like his compadres, and then name-dropped a few other immigrant actors, and then said that one of the greatest things that Hollywood is doing is erasing borders between countries. The 2019 Oscars were just more of the same. Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture simply because it was a black superhero movie. Spike Lee won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay for Black Klansman, and during his acceptance speech said the 2020 election is just around the corner and told everybody to mobilize and do the right thing by voting Donald Trump out of office, which was a reference to his 1989 film of the same name. Within just a few minutes of the 2020 Academy Awards show starting, Chris Rock was complaining that there weren't enough black people nominated, but the show certainly made up for that with presenters. At one point, the guy came out on the stage to announce a land acknowledgement, which is literally an apology for the United States existing on what some lunatics consider to be Native American land. To kick off the show, a singer named Janelle Monáe changed the lyrics in one of her songs to complain about the Oscars being too white, marking the 6th year in a row the Oscars so white complaint was made. No amount of diversity can make them happy. Diversity, of course, being a code word for less white people. Something called Hair Love won Best Short Film for a 7-minute long animation about a black father learning to do his daughter's hair. Usually the winner for this category isn't included in the show, but because the film celebrated black people, then the producers made a special exception because of the systemic black privilege in America these days. And when accepting the award, the director encouraged the audience to support the Crown Act, which was pending legislation that would ban employers and schools from discriminating against people for their hairstyles. For example, if a business didn't want their employees to wear dreadlocks or have an afro that sticks out 2 feet, which of course is why the film was given an Oscar, to amplify support for that law. A Netflix show called American Factory that Barack and Michelle Obama's production company made won the Oscar for Best Documentary in 2020, and when accepting the award, the director quoted straight from the Communist Manifesto, saying, "Workers of the world, unite." When Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscar for Best Actor in Joker, he rattled off as many social justice buzzwords as he could about gender inequality, racism, LGBT rights, indigenous people's rights, and then went on to complain about cow rights and people using milk in our cereal and coffee in the morning. After the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020 caused a surge of black supremacist sentiments to spread across the country and endless virtue signaling by corporations and schools about how they were going to work much harder to support the black community, the Oscars announced that they were changing the criteria for films to be considered for the awards, adding a diversity requirement. So now it doesn't matter how good a film is. If there isn't a black person or an LGBT person as part of the main plot, or at the bare minimum as a screenwriter or the director, then it will get passed over in favor of another film with more diversity. Seriously, they incorporated affirmative action into the Oscar nominations. If you like my monologues like this, then you'll love reading my books because they're a lot more in-depth and, well, let's just say uncensored than my videos, which I have to tone down a bit in order to avoid getting canceled by the thought police. But thankfully, they don't read books. So if you do, order Hollywood Propaganda, How TV Movies and Music Shape Our Culture in paperback from Amazon.com, or download the ebook from any of the major ebook stores. I know you're going to love it, so head on over to Amazon.com or click the link in the description below and check it out.